whoa, a pastor has a Quran? And I was like, what? I was like,
Assalamu alaikum and good greetings. So today I'll be watching a video titled The Reason Why I Talk About Islam So Much. This is by FTD Speaks, and again, just like the previous video, this will feature Leroy sharing why he talk about Islam too much, not too much, so much in the video. Without further ado, let's watch.
Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to FTD Speaks. So, big question that I get all the time, and I just wanted to take some time to answer it and share my thoughts about it. It's why do I talk about Islam so much? And this is not a question that's new to me. This question has been asked to me for probably a year and a half, almost 2 years now, especially on my FTD Facts channel.
Yeah, so I have watched and react to a number of FTD Facts videos in the past because I find it interesting in the sense that the research done to produce each of the video, right? At least the one that I watch about Islam. So I find it interesting because in the world of YouTube, there's many people talk about many things, but the level of research done for any particular, especially when it presents as facts, right? What is the facts about this? What are the facts about that? So I find FTD Facts it is quite interesting in that sense, right? The way it approach finding out the information before presenting as FTD Facts. Yeah, and I always assume that this channel FTD Facts feature a lot of video about Islam is because it attract a lot of views, right? Many people flocked and to watch those videos. So that's my initial assumption when I look why it focuses on that, right? Because Muslims like to watch those videos, I guess. But anyway, let's hear him, explain.
Where, over there we have 1.3 million subscribers. So it's a much bigger channel than my personal channel here, FTD Speaks. And that channel is really dedicated to sharing facts and information as well as entertain people when it comes to the various different religions of our world, the different countries, cities, cultures, and people. A lot of times we do top 10 lists on various different celebrities and historical figures and religious figures as well. You will notice that a lot of the content there has to do and relate to the religion of Islam. So a lot of people continue to ask, why do you talk about Islam so much? Like, are you a Muslim? Some people believe I am Muslim because I do videos about Islam. So first thing I want to say about that is the reason why I make so many videos about Islam is that Islam is something that it's so deep and there's so much to look at and talk about when it comes to the religion. You can do videos for years about the topic of Islam. And when I had started out doing the videos about religion and spirituality, what happened was the videos that we did about Islam, for the most part, got the most attention. More people were interested in those, more people were clicking on those videos and leaving comments and suggesting new topics. So just so happened that on YouTube, how the system works is that if they find videos that people are more interested in, they actually send it out to even more and more people, and then lo and behold, a lot of Muslims started watching FTD Facts videos and requesting for us to do more videos about Islam. And of course, we continue to do that and still share facts and information about various different topics as well. It's not a Muslim channel, it's just a lot of the content deals with sharing facts and information about the religion of Islam. And a lot of people have appreciated the channel. Some have said, oh, we don't necessarily like the content, but that's just in a nutshell on YouTube. The majority of people are requesting for us to do topics, and to stay true to the nature of the channel, a lot of the videos started off based off of requests. So whatever topics are getting the most requests, that's what we do focus on. Again, this is all just when it comes to YouTube and the YouTube channels that I have, and also a similar thing for here on FTD Speaks as well. Now, on a personal level, I'm actually really glad that this happened, and here's why. So, Islam has always been a religion that has fascinated me. Like I mentioned in other videos, I grew up Christian, and of course, Christianity was the #1 religion that had my interest and fascinated me the most. But as I took a step back from the religious world and kind of decided to now go and explore other beliefs, I remember that, you know, growing up, I had a lot of friends who were Muslim, and we got along really well. And I had family members who were Muslim, and I was just always fascinated with their Quran. And over the years, I actually, as a matter of fact, it was one instance I remember, I went to the office of my pastor, and we were talking, and I looked on his bookshelf and I saw a copy of the Quran, and of course I was shocked. I was like, whoa, a pastor has a Quran? And I was like, what? I was like, and he's like, oh yeah, that's a Quran. Then he said that yes, he reads books of other different faiths just to understand them. And I said, that is very interesting, you know. And he said, would you like a copy? And I said, yeah. So he gave me the copy of the Quran, and then he said, you know, all you got to do is just, you know, be careful with this book. And I was like, interesting. Here's a pastor reading the Quran, and he's a Christian. He's a very cool guy. I really like this pastor. We got along really well. And I really liked his openness to actually learn about other religions, even though he was a Christian pastor. So I started reading the Quran, and I opened up Surah Maryam. It spoke about the birth of Jesus and everything. And
So before I go on, when he talked about, you know, that conversation, there's two things. One, do you like a copy? And then second one, be careful, right? Those two things trigger something in my mind, right? One is I cannot imagine any Muslim ustaz or imam or whatever give a copy of a Bible to another Muslim, to younger Muslim, for example. I cannot imagine that to ever happen. I'm not saying it cannot, but I cannot imagine that normally happen. That's number one. Number two, I do recall someone actually remind me or mention something on the number two part, right? Be careful about this book. But it is actually a Muslim, where a book seller, right? Meaning at the bookstore, the one at the cashier. When I buy a book to learn the different mazahib, right? Different, how to say? I think for Muslim, you know, different mazhab, right? Meaning a fiqh book that contains and discuss and compare all the mazhab. Jurisprudence, right? I'm not sure what is the best English words to translate this into. But he says, right, because in Malaysia we are almost uniform in the sense that we stick to the Shafi'iyah mazhab, right? So he said, be careful, right? You can read, but be careful, which is quite interesting. Just to throw in that in. I'm not sure how many of you have ever experienced that, but that's my experience. Especially the first one about Muslim never give or suggest to read the Bible. Yeah, that's kind of, I did not experience that, but it's just like from experience that never happened. I don't know.
Some of what was mentioned was actually really similar to what was mentioned in the Bible, and I was like, okay, but some things were a bit different. So I was like, interesting. And then I told other people that I was reading it, and I've gotten some responses like, oh, you know, stay away from that book. Also, hey, if you read this book, you know, you can get possessed by a demon, or having the book in your house can allow demons to come into your house. So that's what I was hearing. So my very first Quran, believe it or not, I actually threw it away. Yeah, I threw away the Quran because I was like, okay, well, if these people are saying that, then, you know, maybe that's the case. So I threw it away, threw it in the garbage. So that was my very first experience with the Quran personally. Then after, when I took a step back from the religious circle and decided to learn about various different religions and belief systems, I actually purchased a new Quran, or a translation of the Quran, from Amazon. And then when it came, I started to read some of it. And I started to read this for myself because I realized throughout my life, a lot of what I thought about other religions came from what other people said about those religions who weren't even part of that religion in the first place. So I'm like, okay, well, in order to really stay true to what I want and actually learn other religions, I gotta go to the source and read it myself. The Quran is a lot. Like there's a lot to read, a lot to go through, a lot to digest, a lot to reference, you know, because it's one thing to read in English, but also understanding the Arabic, it just takes some time to go through the Quran itself, as well as learning about Islam on a whole. It takes a lot of time. But I've also have been reading on various other religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, but my predominant focus has been the religion of Islam. So even in my personal life, that's just how it went. And then in my YouTube life, that's also how it went. So it's like, oh, interesting, very, very interesting, guys. So I'm like, Islam everywhere, it's everywhere, you know. And I started noticing this, so that's why now I continue to make a lot of videos about Islam. I continue to see the Muslim community differently. I'm learning about them, learning about the culture, the Muslim culture as well, and the teachings, the doctrines, the articles of faith and everything, just so that I have a better understanding for myself. And it's interesting, that's just how life went. And a lot of people look at this and say, well, you know, you're being biased towards Islam. What about the other religions? And I would have to say, you know, at various different times in our lives, we have to choose what we're going to put our focus on. And, you know, for most of us, a lot of our days are taken up in work and in school, right? You can't do every single thing that you want to do all at once. You got to just take the time to focus. So that's what I've been doing, taking my time to really focus a lot more on Islam because there's so much to digest. Is that in a way being biased? Well, you could put it that way. I don't see it that way, but you can say that if you want. It's just, how do you learn about a religion fully unless you focus in on that? I only have 24 hours in a day, just like the rest of you. So a lot of my day is focused towards, you know, my wife, my work, my own personal studies.
So he is married. That would be interesting on what the wife has to say if for example, this interest in learning about Islam become beyond just an interest in learning, right? It become a tendency or something, right? Yeah, interested to know what would that be a concern to the wife, or positive thing, negative things?
Recreation and relaxing, plus my extended family, you know, there's so much to do in a day. So that's why now I just said, you know what, there's so much to read, so much to learn, so much to do. Let me just tailor it down really into Islam.
Yeah, just what I said just now, because in the previous video when he said growing up as Christian, and to the point that he take a step back from religion, right, to take out the lens of Christianity. Here he did mention to the end here about he is actually already married. I'm also wondering whether if he got married when he was really a Christian, and to a Christian wife, for example, and then when he take a step back, what happened in the family dynamic, right? At least him and his wife. Because I do not know about you, but any one of you who are married and married with a wife or husband for religious conviction, right? I want to, for myself, I want to be a practicing Muslim, and I want to find a wife that have the same intention and vision. If that intention and vision change after marriage, for me it would affect the marriage itself, because this marriage is built upon a foundation that we want to achieve something in this life, and that is directly related to what we are convinced of the truth. Yeah, so just wondering, I'm not sure whether he have shared this in any video, but
and there we are right now. That's why I speak about Islam so much, just to share the information with people, because I'm also learning it as I go. And again, it's just funny how, you know, in my personal life it sort of went that way, and in my YouTube life it kind of went that way as well. Some people say, hey, that's a sign, you know, that's a sign that, you know, you're being drawn to Islam. Maybe, maybe not. At the end of the day, it's still really too early to tell, because I would have to say I'm still a beginner in learning about Islam, and I don't know necessarily where my studies are going to take me. It's just how I live life right now is I just go where I'm drawn, and right now I'm drawn to learn about Islam. So hopefully that answers your question in a nutshell, guys. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Join in. I'm always open to hear what you got to say. And thanks for hanging out with me in another episode.
okay, so that's the end, I believe, right? Now, I think the important thing here, because he have been watching or researching about Islam from FTD Facts to now FTD Speaks, right? Where and here he mostly, because his personal channel, so mostly he do reaction, watch things. But in FTD Facts, he already have researched about Islam, the factual things, and make a video about it. Now, and his remark about some people would say this is a sign, etc. But from what he said, you know, take it at the surface value, or on face value. I think the missing point, because just become interested about Islam and how, oh, this is interesting, that is interesting, this seems nice, this is all those things, right? I think the foundation that leads towards having all of these become lead you to become more and more convinced of you should be a Muslim, and you know, for this case, you have the same information as well, but you do not see it that way. I think it's because of the foundation of really convinced that this universe is created, there's a creator, and hence you want to find, of course, logically, for example, or rationally, you think that for sure the creator will have sent down something to guide us, and what is that? And when you find all of this information that you have already found about Islam, that merge together, and you become, you know, your tendency to feel that this might be it, something like that. It start with, you know, become convinced that a creator, and the creator should have sent something, right? So without that, I think if you look at any religion at all, the whatever outcome of your research is just, this is very interesting, this is, you know, it gives good benefit, whatever, be it positive or negative, right? But I'm focusing on the positive side here. All the positives still just like any other things, right? Very interesting. But if you start with that, and you are totally convinced that this universe is created and there's a creator, the search become a search, right? Not an exploration just to learn things, but to find what is the truth here, right? So I think that just on the surface here, I think that's the key point, that if he is being suggested to focus on that, right, to become convinced, because I think from the previous video he said about his being Christian and grow up as Christian and read the whole Bible, etc. It's just because that is what he grew up with. Similarly now, because that is what is being suggested about Islam to learn about, right? But wallahu alam, God knows best. We do not know what is in his heart, hopefully Allah will guide him and all of us, inshallah. And yeah, what do you think? Share your opinion. Love to hear any different opinion, of course. With that, thank you for watching. See you next time.